Let me put it this way. I do think I'm a trend, but I don't think that that means that my diagnosis is wrong. So on today's episode of SideQuest Thoughts, I wanted to talk about this cute little trend that's been going on. I don't know if you've heard about it, but it's late diagnosed ADHD, specifically in females, and what that means for me and what it's like to feel like, am I a part of a trend? Is this just the thing that's happening right now? Or do I really have ADHD? Plot twist, definitely have ADHD. Okay, so let's start with a little story time. So I'm sitting in the doctor's office with my son, and he is getting questioned by a med specialist because we're trying to figure out his medications. And this med specialist is like, have you ever been screened for ADHD? And of course, both of us are like, no, because he is on the spectrum, and that's just the all-encompassing, diagnosis. And so this specialist was like, well, let's run through some of the questions. And so he pulls out his questionnaire and he starts asking my son these questions. And if you don't know, you can look it up, but they're just typical ADHD questions, I guess. Do you have a hard time sitting? Is it hard to wait in line? Do you find that you daydream? And so as he's asking these questions, my son is going, no. I'm starting to go, yes. And by the end of that appointment, I was like, holy cow, I think I have ADHD. So like any sane person, I immediately went home and did I think it was a BuzzFeed questionnaire quiz. Do you have ADHD? And I scored very high. Very, very high. And that was okay. I mean, BuzzFeed is the most knowledgeable and reputable place to go. So I was convinced, but I decided that the best thing for me to do was probably talk with my doctor. That just started a whole series of just getting into what it means to have ADHD. And I do think, and I will put this up as next to Steve as another side quest thought, but I did have a concussion, and I feel like the concussion is really almost what, like, I always had like a little baby ADHD going on in the back of my mind, because there's so many things that explain me through the lens of ADHD, right? I am a high performer. I can learn anything and everything. Those are the only two that are coming to my mind. Like, all the superpowers and things like that. All of those things I had growing up. But I didn't have, I've never been I'm not a hyper person, right? And we all just, when I hear ADHD, I'm like, I wasn't bouncing off the walls when I was a kid, which is totally inaccurate, right? I was bouncing off the walls in my brain, and I was manifesting the hyperactiveness in all the hobbies that I had, all the skills that I learned because A, somebody needed me to learn them, or B, I just was bored. And then the minute the dopamine was gone, I was done with them. I mean, I literally, just the number of things I have started, all the hobbies, all the side projects, all of it. It was there. I just think it was just like a little baby there. And when I had the concussion, I think it really broke it open and really made it more present and more apparent. So in the midst of all of this, right, I've gotten diagnosed, I've started medication, I'm seeing the benefits, and then I start hearing and seeing more and more people getting late diagnosed. Women my age, and at first I was like, oh, it's just like a algorithm thing, right? I'm seeing it on all of my feeds, and I'm like, oh, it's just because I clicked on it once. Because we all know how the algorithm works, right? You blink at something, and it's like, oh, you are into that. You are now, this is your whole personality. But it wasn't just online. At least 4 friends of mine got diagnosed with ADHD, all ranging from a little bit younger to a little bit older than me. And it really made me question if I actually had ADHD, or if it was just something that I was like, yeah, let's take this quiz and let's, yeah, I could have some of those symptoms. And I kind of had this, did I just answer yes? Did I just feel like it was a yes? I mean, I fidget, right? I had to think about some of the questions. Like, it's like, do you have a hard time sitting still? In my mind, it meant, are you just like getting up, running around, doing all this? But then when I thought about it in me, I thought, wow, I do. I sit in chairs at work and I'm constantly like either just rocking a little bit, or I'm tapping my foot, or I like having jewelry that can be some sort of a fidget where I can just mess with it. I'm never actually sitting still. And if I am even close to sitting still, it's because I'm uncomfortable. So I'm usually hugging my body, which is almost like I'm tightening it all in. And so if I'm in a comfortable, relaxed state, I'm moving. And so it was little things like that where it was like, there's a question of, do you like finish other people's sentences or talk before they're finished? And I would be like, yeah, I do that with like groups of friends. Yes, absolutely. I will finish their sentences for them because I'm like, I already know what you're going to say. And I want them to feel like I'm a part of their conversation and I'm totally invested. But it's more than that. It's having impatience when it isn't someone that I'm comfortable with and being like, oh my gosh, I have to sit and listen to them finish this sentence that I've already gone through. The hyperfixation, the all of the hobbies. I mean, when I looked at it through the lens of me, I was like, yep, I took up crocheting that one time. I've got a bag addiction for no reason. I am obsessed with perfumes. I used to refinish like old, like I would take furniture and like sand it down and paint it up and do that. Of course, never really finishing. I still have 2 nightstands that are sitting in my garage that I have not touched. So why am I even talking about this? I'm talking about this because I think it's important. I think that there is a trend of late diagnosed ADHD, but I don't think that doesn't mean, or that isn't like that discredits those that have gotten late diagnosed. And so I do think that a lot of us have gone undiagnosed. I look at the women around me that had gotten diagnosed. They are all really, they're leaders. They're women that, for lack of better words, kick butt and take names. But we're also women that have a really hard time staying connected with one another, out of sight, out of mind, that kind of a thing. And so let me put it this way. I do think I'm a trend, but I don't think that means that my diagnosis is wrong. I just think that it's just the thing that's going on right now, and there is so much awareness around it. So I want to know, did you get diagnosed as a child? I really want to know that, and what prompted that. If you were diagnosed as a teenager, which I have found less people that are, but I am fascinated by that because I was homeschooled. We'll just tuck that away up there. I was homeschooled, and I don't think you would have been able to, there's no way you would have been able to see the executive dysfunction, the level at which I have executive dysfunction as a homeschooled child. I definitely feel like had I gone to school, something would have prompted something. Like from childhood, what was that like? If you're diagnosed when you were a teenager, what like prompted that? What did that do to you and your trajectory? And then if you've been late diagnosed, what has that been like for you? Do you have imposter syndrome like I did for a little bit? I just want to hear all of it. Let me know. I'd love to hear from you. And until then, I love your faces. Bye.